All right, recap. Yesterday's Ritzer race, the 5K in Andover, Mass. that we all attended. We were on Team Minahan, and which was a pretty good sized team. I'd say half of them probably couldn't walk to the refrigerator, to make a sandwich without getting gassed. But they made it for the most part. They made it. They walked the hills and threw up in the bushes, but they made the 5K, including Matt Carano, by the way. Struggled, but he
Did
finished.
struggle.
Did struggle, yes.
Got passed by a speeding Callahan up a big hill.
We my son and I passed you, and I thought you might, get loose and start going hard and pass us. I kept waiting for you to come up and say hello, but you never did. So,
I did not. I thought that was going to happen too. I was like, okay, I'm going to catch this guy on the downhill, and no such luck. You crushed me by like 7 minutes.
But you're right, which is not good. I mean, not good. I'm old.
Not good at all. I agree.
And my son, who doesn't even run, beat me on a torn ACL, and a half hour later, you come crossing the finish line, but you didn't walk, right? You ran the whole time.
Oh no, I ran the whole time. Yeah.
And you didn't throw up and peel
no,
off.
I was fine. Yeah, I knew I would make it. I knew I would make it. I really did think my time was going to be better than I ended at 34, or like 34 and a half. I've been running about 30 minutes for a 3 mile. So
you're too young. You're too young for 34. I'm sorry. You got to do better. And it's a great course because you get all the hills over with at the beginning. And I know you weren't expecting so many hills, and I know a lot of people do. It's funny because people get in at the starting line. You start by the speed you think you're going to go. Like we started like at 9 minutes a mile. And there are people up there at 8 or 9 minutes a mile, and then they hit because they don't know, and and they hit the hill, and they suddenly start, getting dizzy and throwing up on their shoes, and they don't know. They're not used to it. They don't know how hard it can be if you push it a little too hard.
I thought it was strategic. Tell me that we were going to run uphill for a half mile to begin the race. I thought you were doing that to sabotage my time.
Yes. Well, I think it's better to do it at the beginning than finishing uphill is tough. This is a great race because first mile and a half, you hit a lot of hills, but then it's downhill or it's flat and you cruise and finish. It was a perfect day, huge turnout, raised a lot of money, and then did a live show. And Minahan's always telling me how much money he makes off these live shows. So I was expecting, a check, but
none of it. Yeah, of course.
It was a free live show, and it was fun. We had a good time. The host was kind of weak. I mean, he didn't bring much to the table. He just kind of mailed it in. But we had some laughs, and we're going to do it again, at least until Kirk threatens to kill my whole family again, which will probably be soon. So if he doesn't do that, he's going to join us on this show one of these days and answer some of the tough questions that he was avoiding yesterday. But it was a good time. We had some laughs. We did. It was good. It was good to see everybody. Lots of everyone wearing pink. By the way, we all had our pink shirts on, which is kind of cool. There's 3,000 people at the starting line, almost all in pink. But what did you think? Do you think it went well?
I thought so, but I'm probably surprising you this, but bringing it up this morning, I saw Kirk tweet out that the race was good, but he thought that the show was joyless. Did you?
Well, I thought, again, the host was weak. He didn't bring much to the table. I had to carry the show, and the crowd did as well, and Callahan, and I guess Kirk's on a diet now. He's losing all his weight. I think he's weak. I think he's gaunt. He's not full. Doesn't have a lot of energy. So I did my best to carry him, like old times. That's why it felt like old times. I carried him. We told some stories. We mocked and ridiculed WEEI for their latest ratings, which are lower than whale excrement. They're absolutely dreadful. And I don't know. Obviously, we never were in that situation when we were there together. But if we were even close to that, Minahan and I would both lose our minds. I said that to him. I said we'd both be walking down the railroad tracks if we got numbers like that. But apparently, I say this all the time. Kirk says it all the time. When they sat us down and dressed us down, we had this vice president of whatever come in and say, we don't care about ratings. We want to stay out of trouble. And we laughed. I was shocked. I said, wait a second. You just said you don't care about ratings? And he said, yes. And I thought he was lying. I thought he was just trying to put a little scare into us. But they were telling the truth, man. They don't care about ratings. Now they have no ratings and no trouble. And apparently that was the goal. This was a rare, honest moment from a Entercom executive who was the biggest liar in the company. But not on this day, man. Not on this day. He was telling the truth.
And the crazy thing is, you're in broadcast. The whole idea of broadcast is to get people to talk, is like to say something and have people listening to you and react. If you're not going to have people listen to you and communicate and react, then there's no point in being in broadcast in the first place.
Well, I guess they were sick of whatever, the Globe, coming after them, activists coming after them. They just wanted to lay low, get rid of those people. Unfortunately for them, the listeners went with them. As we pointed out yesterday on Kirk's show, he had the ratings. He showed them to me, but the morning show lost by 15 share points, which is
5 times is what it was. 5 times.
Mind-boggling. 15. Rarely do you see anyone who even gets a 15 share, but Toucher Rich got an 18, and the EI morning show, the Chris Curtis show,
got like 3 or 4 or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
3 point something
times that.
It's worse than they ever could have imagined. Morale must just be brutal right now. I actually feel bad for some of the people over there, good people, but they've given up. It is just over, and they are not even trying anymore, and they're staying out of trouble. That's the good news, Carano. They're staying out of trouble, and I have no doubt, if we were still there, the numbers would be better, but there would be some trouble and some friction, and the Red Sox wouldn't be happy, and the governor wouldn't be happy, and they'd be getting calls from the race. And by the way, the biggest star was not Kirk or me or you or anyone. The biggest star of the day was Bug the Chug. I got to introduce my daughter's dog, Bug the Chug, met the crowd. It's and Kirk doesn't care about dogs. He's one of those people, like serial killers. They never care about dogs. They have no compassion and no love for animals, unless they're killing them. They have no interest in dogs, and Kirk's like that. He doesn't even like his own dog. But I love this dog that my daughter recently adopted. It's a 5-year-old Chug who is blind and has a limp, and so she brought him to the doctor, as I told the story on yesterday, to find out what was wrong with his leg. Got X-rays. He has a bullet in his leg. He's a 12-pound little adorable puppy, doesn't even bark, and someone shot him. And that's apparently a common thing I've been learning down south, that hunters or rednecks out with their 22s, shooting beer cans. They see an animal, they don't care if it's a dog or a cat or a possum or a squirrel, and they shoot them. And they shot this little dog and didn't kill him, just wrecked his arm.
Where'd your daughter find Bug the Chug, by the way? Is there like some sort of website you go to? Like, how do you
lots of them. There's a lot. I mean, my wife works for volunteers at one place up here in New England. She got the Minahan's, their dog, at this
Clyde
Great Dog Rescue New England. She got Clyde and a bunch of other neighbors and friends she's found dogs for. But my daughter's down in Virginia. She found him in Richmond. They bring them up from Tennessee or other places, Mississippi down south, where stray dogs or, wild dogs are roaming free. That's what they do. The group my wife works for brings up a Winnebago full of dogs once a week in crates, obviously. But the guy drives down once a week, drives back with a bunch of dogs, and then they, put it out, obviously, on the website. Sometimes they have these live events where you can go meet the dogs. But they're all mutts. They're all from Tennessee. It's what good people do. You don't go to a pet store or a breeder. You go to a place like this, Great Dog Rescue or whatever. They would same thing down in Virginia, and you adopt a dog who desperately needs you. And my theory is always they can feel it. They have good instincts. Like this dog, Bug the Chug, knows my daughter saved him from a miserable life, probably certain death. I don't think they, keep one leg, keep limping blind.
Not blind dogs.
that goes right in the gas chamber when they're cleaning house. So if you don't adopt him, he's gone. And I think the same thing about Clyde, Minahan's dog, or any number of dogs that my wife has found for people. They get gassed, because that's what they do with stray dogs if they don't get adopted. So you have to go to a rescue place, Great Dog Rescue, or whatever the equivalent in your area if you want a dog, and you have to get a mutt or a Chug, which is a mutt. It is a pug Chihuahua if you haven't figured it out yet. But wouldn't you say Bug the Chug was the star of the show?
Well, I don't know, but so I'm still on this thing. Like, so did your daughter know that? Must have known that Bug was blind and limping, like when she got him, right?
He was blind and limping, but didn't know he had a bullet in him. And I believe me when she told me she was thinking about adopting him. I said, "You want a blind dog? That's
Limpy dog.
tough."
Yeah.
And then I thought about it some more, and I'm very proud of her. I think that is an admirable thing that you have a choice of a dog, healthy young puppy. It's also 5 years old. It's not a
I know, not a young lad. Yeah.
or you get this dog that's clearly limping and clearly blind. He's fine when he's in her apartment. He knows where everything is, but then you move him around, take him up here, put him in our place, and he starts walking into walls. But he's so small, and he doesn't really slam into them. He just keeps bumping in, keeps going on, and happy as could be. Doesn't bark, doesn't cry. Awesome little dog. She did the race with him in a
like a baby satchel. Yeah.
Carried him it was going to push him in a stroller, but she carried him just in this bag, and he was great. Had a good time. Everyone enjoyed it.
Is that how she normally carries him around, or does he actually walk? Is he on the lead?
He walks slow as and he limps. It's not easy to walk him because you got to really go slow. He's slow and he's limping, and they can't take the bullet out. You either take the leg off or you just live with it.
Wait, you have to. Why can't they? What they won't? Why is it so embedded?
There's all kinds of whatever tendons around it that you would damage. So they either said the bullet stays in or the dog goes through life with 3 legs. And the vets think nothing of that. They say, "Oh, plenty of dogs have 3 legs. They're happy. They don't even know it." I'm like, no, I'd rather have them limp with the bullet than have 3 legs. And by the way, to remove a leg. To remove a leg is like $5,000. So
jeez.
I say he lives with the bullet, and probably won't live that long anyway, right? He's blind, he's one-legged, he's been through.
I know, maybe he can't be killed. Maybe
that's true. As one friend of mine said, that is a badass little dog. I mean, he's tiny. He got a bullet in him, and he just keeps going. He slowed him down a little, but certainly did not kill him, which is amazing. So you're right. He's a tough little guy. Maybe he will, but he's great. He's a great little dog. And he was kind of, he met lots of people yesterday and had a good time. But you did, right? It was perfect weather. It was a great turnout. I thought we had a pretty good time. Obviously, Minahan didn't really bring it. He was relying on me a lot, and the crowd. But we got through the show, which is one of 3 he does a week. I mean, what a grind! What a grind!
4 this week he's doing.
4, right? Oh yeah, that's right. He said he was doing an extra show for some reason because he wanted to talk baseball with Jared Carabas. That's what he said, right? He wanted to break down the playoffs and the pitching matchups, and I'm excited to hear that. It's going to be good. But
no, I heard people laughing. I was in the crowd too. I thought it was upbeat and funny, and I obviously I can't tell how Kirk was experiencing it when he was on stage, but at least the crowd seemed to be laughing and enjoying it. There's some definite awkward stuff too when you were bringing up past stuff, I think, but that's kind of normal par for the course. There's always going to be some uncomfortable radio when you guys are together.
That's what I mean. To be honest with you, we both laugh. We have a good time when we talk about the old days because they were crazier than people. I mean, he says this all the time. Lots of crazy people in radio. We pointed this yesterday, especially morning people. Obviously, Kirk's on that list, and so are many others who've been through. I used to talk to Charles Laquadera occasionally about this, but Imus and Stern and all these morning guys lose their minds after years of sleep deprivation, as I explained yesterday. Nobody's in Dino's league. Dino, and we've told some stories we can't tell because they're so nuts, but he was it was never a dull moment. And even Kirk admits, and I admit, he was fun. He laughed. He had energy. You never had to worry about the level of energy. There's nothing worse than when you're on a morning show or any radio show, and it just feels flat, and it feels like nobody has any energy. Or when you say something funny or remotely funny, just mildly funny, and you look, and I've said this about Turtle Boy, who, by the way, you want to talk about a guy with some wheels. Turtle Boy almost broke 20 minutes. Turtle Boy can fly.
Well, he was 22 something. Yeah, it was pretty good.
20 something.
No, he was 20. Yeah, but that's still good. That's still good. It's still good.
Was he he must have been the fastest on Team Minahan, wasn't he?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, because Kirk was 24 something. He runs all the time. So yeah, he probably
Yeah,
was. I can't imagine
Turtle Boy
anybody.
is
It's
a
not a crowd.
beast. I know he's a track guy, a track coach, but he is a beast out there. He said and he was running sprints to get ready, like to get a sweat going before the race. So he took it very seriously, and he came up big, man. He just blew everyone away. And
Someone in the chat is saying 2054. I thought he said 22. I was talking to him. I thought he said 22.
2054 is
Maybe
pretty
I
freaking
misheard.
good, and that is, I mean, that's a
That
runner.
is good.
That is a serious runner. I bet you he finished pretty high. We can check the results. I think they're posted. I bet you in
Yeah.
his weight, in his age group or whatever. I bet you he was among the elite. But that's Turtle Boy's problem, and I've said that before. He doesn't always laugh. You know, he says something, and if he were in radio, like morning radio daily, you'd say, okay, you know, I know you're whatever, you're a great reporter, and you know you're smart. You got a good, you know, you got lots of, but you got to laugh. You know, you got to sell the joke.
You do.
And
Yeah.
Dino was the best at that, selling the joke, laughing, you know, bringing and when you laugh, the level of energy goes up. Plus, we'd have wild fights all the time. I say that all the time that, you know, Kirk and I used to have wild fights on the air, but we never had them off the air. With Dino,
You would fight with Dennis
both.
afterwards? Yeah.
Toward the end, yes, it was tense, and it was all Kirk's fault. But Dino was not happy toward the end. Didn't like whatever the direction of the show, and he just kind of one day they called us in the office and said, John quit. he's all done. We were like, and Kirk and I literally walked out of the meeting.
Weren't you on air with him? Is that what happened? You were on air, and then afterwards he quit?
Yeah. No. Yes. Well, I did a show with him down in Connecticut at this golf tournament. We had a blast. He was funny, and we had this kind of wacky show. Kirk wasn't there. He was in Ireland, as we talked about yesterday. But then next day, they called us in the meeting. Maybe it was 2 days. They called us in this conference room and said, and everyone was there. I think the CEO was actually there and said, John just quit. And we said, what? We couldn't believe it. We walked out of that meeting, and we were shocked. We said, really? Because he was making a lot of money, and you know, he was. Some days were better than others, but you know, he was again full of energy. He's not the type to just sit and do nothing. And I'm not sure what he does now, but he still must have a lot of pent up energy and a lot of frustration, a lot of opinions that he cannot share because every time he gets back on Twitter, they ban him 2 days later. So he doesn't even have that outlet. But anyway, it was a good time.
You do a podcast. You said LaBelle was doing a podcast. I checked it out. It looks like he's doing a pot podcast, which seemed weird.
Oh, yeah,
for
he
him.
does a pot. Yeah, LaBelle's a big medical marijuana, or I don't know if it has to be medical anymore. Big marijuana advocate because he's got a lot of pain. He's got a lot of surgery. He's got a lot of issues. I feel awful for him. He's a great guy. But he does a podcast also with Mike Lynch. That's the kind of thing I thought Dino would keep his hand in, and he hasn't really, which is amazing. But good for him. I hope he's hitting him straight because you know, he's retired, man. He's not doing he's not doesn't have an outlet for his opinions, which is remarkable because he had a lot of them. And we agreed on most things, like politically, but we still managed to fight about. We still managed to find things to fight about, and that's part of the job. And we used to sit there at break. Minahan would do this all the time. Feel a little lull in the show, a little bored, and you'd say, "We got to fight about something." You know, you'd come up with some issue. You'd have a fight. Boom, the lines light up. Everybody gets into it. It just creates energy. That's what it does. And you have shows now where they don't want to fight because they think that's, you know, what the boss doesn't. The boss doesn't want fights. Doesn't want disagreement. Doesn't want negativity. So they have no fights and no tension, but they also have no energy. That's the problem. If I were program director, I never would be, I would be in there saying, you guys got to mix it up. I mean, that's how it works in good talk radio. You mix it up. The fans, the listeners, they take one side or the other. They call in, they get on you. You fight with them. You fight with each other. And people who say they don't like that are liars. If they don't like that, they'd be listening to NPR. If they don't like that, they want you to mix it up. That's why the shows. That's why we used to get great numbers. Glenn Ordway, and on the big show, they'd be fighting every day. Sometimes it'd be coherent. Other times it wouldn't be. He would have unbelievable ratings. Those days are over, and I don't blame the management entirely, but they got what they want. This is what they want. They want no fights, no trouble, no ratings, and they don't want the Red Sox to ever be disappointed in them. They want the Red Sox to know that they're on their side. They're part of the team, and that's what they got now. And everybody's happy, and nobody goes home with that pit in their stomach because they're wondering if they're going to get canceled or suspended. Of course, they're not going to get any rating bonuses either, but I guess they've probably given up on that a long time ago.
Well, it's
But
also a losing business model. They're not going to survive. Like that, eventually, it's just going to go away.
well, I don't know. I mean, why not? They don't pay anyone anything anymore. The Red Sox are not unhappy with them. You know what's the worst? If you're at that radio station, perhaps the most alarming numbers are the ones at night. That is a contending baseball team headed to the playoffs, playing every night. And I say this all the time. When Dino and I were together, we had better numbers than I had with Kirk, but it has nothing to do with us. I should say nothing. The Red Sox carried the station. They used to get 20, 22, 25 shares.
Yeah.
Now they're getting like 2s and 3s. They were talking about this on the radio the other day. I saw it on Twitter. I didn't listen, but I know it was one of the subjects of, and it's have people lost interest in the Red Sox. And they used as evidence the attendance, which apparently is way down. I haven't checked the numbers, but they also know that the ratings are way, way down. The TV ratings, the radio ratings, the Red Sox are a dead product. And the station I used to work for, Kirk used to work for, is paying them $11 million a year. They have to be losing their shirts on the broadcasts, and they can't, admit it, go on the air. They have to continue to pretend that people care about the Red Sox. I was with a bunch of people yesterday, my wife's family, and one person, my wife's aunt, was really into the Red Sox and who's pitching, and everyone's looking at her going, "Who cares?" We were watching football, and she's like, "What's the final?" We're like, "We're watching, wasn't even Patriots were over. We were watching the afternoon game, and that's all anyone cared about. The NFL, and this is just not a big deal. It annoys me though when I get accused of saying the NFL. A couple of people on Twitter the other day were accusing me of saying the NFL no one watches anymore because it's too woke, or get woke, go broke. And they contend that I said that about the NFL, which is a flat out lie. I never said the NFL was hurting or people were bailing on the NFL. That is just wrong. I said it about the NBA. I said it about baseball and other things, but the NFL, A, didn't get that woke. They put little slogans in the end zone on the back of their helmets, and B, is just too big a product to get affected, dramatically by wokeness. I mean, they do have some woke people out. That's where Kaepernick was. They did have some kneelers, but they didn't do it the complete makeover like the NBA. The NBA, went wearing the shirts, the Black Lives Matter painted on the floor. The whole league went woke, and it showed in the ratings 2 summers ago. The bubble season was a disaster. The numbers are still way, way down, a fraction of what they were 20 years ago. The NFL is still going strong because they didn't sell out completely. I say this all the time. I haven't given up on football. I still watch every Patriots game. I'm still going to watch as many Brady games as I can. Yesterday, I thought was a fun football day, including the last game of the day. I thought Kansas City was going to roll. Baltimore came back and beat them by 1 point. It was a terrific game. Tom Brady only has 9 touchdown passes in 2 weeks. Tom Brady's Tampa Bay. This is the football portion of the program.
Okay, wait. Before you go there, though, I wanted to put a cap on the Red Sox thing. Adam Jones at night, right, is beating the Red Sox broadcast. Number 1.
I mean, I can't tell you how stunning that is.
Like crushing him, not even like by a little, like multiples.
I mean, the highest numbers, like Touch and Rich, they get an 18 something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Chris Curtis show gets like a 3.6. They lose by 15.
Yeah.
The Red Sox used to, in their heyday, when Dino and I were number 1, Ordway was number 1, Dale and Eddie, the Red Sox would get a 25. Now they're getting a 2 or 3. That, by any measure, is a disaster. There's no one's going to want to advertise on that. No one's listening. No one's watching. It's just for John Henry and for all the ancillary people, businesses there. It's just disastrous. There's no other word for it.
And you mentioned the attendance too.
Yeah, which I don't know the numbers.
But I do. Care to hazard a guess on that?
down, I don't know, 27%. What's it?
It's at 20,454 per.
Really?
Yeah, that their high is somewhere around 37,000. So
That's
I mean,
about half. That's about half filled.
that's rough. Yeah.
And we were at this again, my wife's family's house. They put on the game. Just the Patriots game ends. We're ready to watch the 4 o'clock game. They flip on the Red Sox to see the ninth inning, and
Yeah.
everybody, Red Sox are wearing those yellow uniforms with the blue,
Yeah.
which are weird. Everybody in the room was like, "Why are they wearing yellow?" They've done that a bunch of times, and nobody knew what it was about. They're going, "Where the hell did the yellow uniforms come from?" It as a product, it is remarkably just flat and dead, and so little interest. They go into the playoffs, and nobody cares except Lou Merlone, but that's his job. I understand why Lou has to do it, but nobody else does. If you're on the radio right now and you're talking Red Sox, you are literally ignoring your potential fans, your potential listeners. I mean, they're not listening. They're just turning the station when you start talking Sox because that product is so dead and they're invested in it 100% and they're getting beaten by a talk show, a sports talk show on another station. People would rather listen to that than listen to the 112-year-old Joe Castiglione babbling on, screaming about whatever, the pitching change in the 7th inning. It's just, as a product, I can't imagine someone, I mean, you're not a kid,
No,
but someone in, 40 or 35 or 30, putting that on their car radio or putting that on their TV at home with all the other choices there are. That, again, our numbers, when Minahan and I were together, our numbers are remarkable when you consider that anchor at night. The Red Sox were already dying at that point. Now they're completely dead, and they have no shot. They have no shot. The morning show, midday, obviously they're not great shows, but even if they were, they would have no. They would be dragged down by the team that they're paying, to which they're paying $11 million a year. It's just the worst business decision by the worst businessman in the world. But is that it for our Red Sox talk?
Yeah, I think that'll probably do it.
I want that in the tease when you tweet this out or post this. Say, good Red Sox talk. What's their chances in the 1-game playoff, and what's the situation with Chris Sale or what the other pitcher who starts the 1-game playoff? You think that'll be good?
Aldi, I think, right?
Evaldi, yes, yeah. Boy, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know a ton. You want to do DCU?
Let me do DCU, and then we'll continue our sports talk. We've already talked, 5K road race, Red Sox. We'll get to the football talk, the remarkable start to Tom Brady's situation, and the disaster that is the New York Jets. We're also going to get back into the drone strike, which I believe we learned the truth about the drone strike was a Friday afternoon news dump after we were done for the weekend. And believe it or not, the Emmys were last night. The Emmys, you're not going to believe a couple of winners at the Emmys, and you're not going to believe what was missing from the Emmys. But let me tell you about DCU first. DCU, our proud sponsor of this show. Why do DCU members love their free checking accounts? It's simple. No monthly maintenance fees, no minimum balance, no strings attached. What's better is with direct deposit to the free checking account, DCU members can get paid up to 2 days early. Who doesn't love getting paid early? Zero monthly maintenance fees, zero monthly balance, zero reasons not to switch. They will even remove the hassle of switching your direct deposits and automatic payments from your current checking account. Learn more and make the switch today at dcu.org/free checking. Insured by NCUA, membership required. All right, Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks. This is a remarkable stat. They've won 10 straight games, and they've scored 30-plus points in all of them. They beat their rival Falcons 48-25 yesterday. Brady threw 5 touchdown passes. He now has 9 in 2 weeks. He has 9, and as I tweeted, Cam Newton had 8 last year. Tom Brady's replacement, former MVP Cam Newton, had 8 in 15 games. Tom Brady had 9 in a little more than 1.5 games. Another 2 to Gronk. He is rolling. They are you do your little rankings, power rankings. They are number 1. They got they come to Foxborough in 2 weeks. The Patriots have the Saints next week, who lost big yesterday, but they get the Saints, and then they got the Bucks. The Bucks will be big favorites at Foxborough. It's going to be wild. I look forward to that because I know a lot of people are going to be rooting for the Patriots and rooting for Brady. But it is, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but they let that guy, who's right now the best player in the league, I know he's 44. The Patriots let him walk away. They just let him leave. They got nothing for him. They granted him free agency just because he'd been a good soldier and he'd been great for 20 years. So they just said, okay, let's let him be a free agent. And they did, and he left.
Well, why would you ever bet on? You'd never bet on a 42-year-old that's gonna, thinking that they're gonna have another 5 years. I mean, he's been excellent.
I wouldn't. And right, they made that calculation. It's certainly understandable. It was wrong. It was wrong. I mean, I think Mac Jones is going to be a terrific quarterback. But last year, they brought in the Cam Newton experience didn't work out. He was terrible. Mac Jones will be good. He's got one touchdown pass in 2 weeks, but he's beaten. He's the second best quarterback in the division now, behind Josh Allen, who's top 2 or 3 in the league right now. Josh Allen, they won huge yesterday, but Mac Jones looks good. He's in a much better situation. I guess you should be thankful that Cam Newton won 7 games instead of 2 games, because if they did, maybe they would have drafted Zach Wilson. Oof. I'm just going to say I don't want to overstate things. Zach Wilson, the rookie quarterback for the New York Jets, went to BYU, had the worst game I've ever seen an NFL quarterback have yesterday, and I'm not kidding. He had 4 picks. If you missed it, 4 picks. That's the same number of picks Mac Jones had last season in Alabama. Mac Jones threw 402 passes, 4 picks, 41 touchdowns. Zach Wilson threw 4 picks, one worse than the next.
The last two. The last two. There was no pressure. He threw directly to McCourty. There was no
receiver in the area. I realized maybe he thought he was zigging when they got, but all 4 were terrible throws. What do I always say? You got to be an accurate thrower, a good decision maker, and you got to handle the pressure in the pocket. Those are the 3 most important things, which Mac Jones has done for 2 weeks. Zach Wilson couldn't do any of those things. And here's the biggest problem. They're going to lose, and he's in New York, and they have chewed up and spit out better men than he. He's young. He's coming from BYU. I don't think he's going to be able to handle the big city. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe how bad he looked. Once he threw a couple picks or 3 before, he got gun shy, just started dumping it off, and his little check down throws, and they were bad. He was inaccurate throwing 8-yard outs. Everything was inaccurate. He was seeing ghosts. He was feeling pressure. He was making terrible decisions. He looked awful. And they never showed his mother either. His mother's like really hot, young blonde woman. And I thought we'd at least get to see his mother. But bad news for the New York Jets. And I know it's early, but right now it looks like you don't have a quarterback again. And you know who's 2-0? In Carolina? Sam Darnold, the last guy you used a top pick on. The Jets are a disaster. The Jets are a nightmare. I'm glad I'm not a Jets fan. Jets fans just must be losing it, because I think Trevor Lawrence will be great. Mac Jones, Trey Lance will probably be really good, but it doesn't look good for young Zach Wilson. He doesn't have good receivers or good team around him, but there were just so many bad throws, so many inaccurate throws, so many bad decisions. I kept waiting for a backup. I think his name is Mike White, to come in just to
right. You don't want to kill his confidence. 4 picks is a lot.
His confidence is so shot. He needs shock therapy, man. He needs some major therapy from somebody somehow, because his confidence today just must be gone. But and you know what? They're already 0-2. The season will be over in like 3 more weeks. It'll be like so hopeless and so bleak. It'll be like, they're not going to have ratings like the Red Sox, but the people will be bailing on the Jets big time, as well they should. That is the 11th straight win for the Patriots over the Jets. 11. They used to be a great rivalry. Yeah. Rex Ryan went to the AFC title game twice, I believe, with that team. And the numbers are overwhelming. The Patriots just dominate them in points and yards and turnovers. 11 straight. It's not supposed to work that way, but they got nowhere to go. The kid signed. He's guaranteed like $40 million. They Patriots are lucky that they had the 15th pick and not the second pick because lots of people. I watched him play a couple games at BYU. He looked great. He looked great, athletic. He just could sling it, but he looks scared now. It's uncomfortable to watch, and that's another. I mean, obviously, it was an automatic W yesterday. They got him again. That's another automatic W for the Patriots, at least for the next, probably the next couple of years. So that's the good news. I like young. I always want to see young quarterbacks look good. It's fun to see a young quarterback who's good and it clicks and it works and it's just not happening for that kid. Unfortunately, not happening for that kid.
No, they scored less points than their head coach has kids. I mean, what's his name? Sal. He's got 7 kids in 10 years. It's crazy.
He's the first Muslim American head coach. Did you know that, Carano?
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Salah, first Muslim American. Means a lot.
Is that how you pronounce it? Salah?
I don't know. Salah. Yeah, I mean, he was a great coordinator, great assistant. He looks good. He's, in great shape. Got that good badass looking, Vin Diesel looking bald head. He looks like a tough guy, but so far he's been overwhelmed. I didn't know he had 7 kids, but I'm sure he's ignoring every one of them because he is already on the hot seat 2 games in. But all right, that wraps up our NFL portion of the program. I had a guy come up to me yesterday at the race saying, "You got to talk more football. You got to talk more football."
That's why you don't listen to fans, Gerry. Don't listen to your fans.
We talk football. I talk football when I want. Okay, on Monday, I talk football when I want. I watch it. I like it. I talk it when I want. I'm not, I'm not going to say, "Oh, okay, let me write that down." What else do you want me to talk about? I do. Here's why I want to talk about the righteous drone strike. The Biden regime ordered a drone strike. Can you get the exact date on that? August 26 or something. It was for PR purposes. It was to save face. We need a name for this. Things that would get Trump impeached again. The number of impeachable offenses from the Biden regime is in probably a couple of dozen at this point. We made a list the other day. We had 10 or 12. This could be top of the list. I mean, there's so many. Lying, or asking the Afghan President Ghani to lie for him, opening the southern border and just letting Haitians walk across the border, overwhelming the border patrol. That's I mean, there's so many impeachable offenses at this point. It's hard to know where to start, but this is a simple one. We were reeling. We lost 13 Marines and service people needlessly. Biden sacrificed them because he wanted a photo op on September 11th. We've gone over this. The withdrawal, disastrous. We gave them $85 billion of advanced U.S. weaponry. We gave them an Air Force. They never had one. We gave them night goggles. We gave a bunch of terrorists $85 billion in weaponry. That could be the worst dereliction of duty for a president that I've ever seen, certainly in my lifetime. But again, the media's on his side. He's got Congress, he's got Senate, he's got the House. He's not going to get impeached for anything. But we do have another impeachable offense, which they admitted on Friday afternoon, news dump. What General Mark Milley, that absolute disgrace, is called a righteous strike, was actually a family, 10 people, including 7 children. And this is why this is one reason to me it's so devastating is we know the family now. We read about them. I tweeted a picture of one of the young girls that he blew up. Biden took out a family of 10. He took out 7 children who were delivering water to people. And you know what makes it a double whammy for impeachable offenses? They killed a bunch of kids and then they lied about it. They covered it up. They lied about it. They wanted you to think it was ISIS. And there's a remarkable thread from Glenn Greenwald. I know we talk about him a lot. He's a former lefty. Now he's a very popular journalist on Substack. He's on Fox News a lot, but he's honest. He used to be, a liberal and a real critic of the administration. He's now become the best kind of media critic. And there's a thread of how the media reacted when Biden took out this family of 10 and said it was ISIS. and said it was, a good strike, a righteous strike, according to Milley. And the media, at least the mainstream, New York Times, Washington Post, they cheerleaded this. And then, when they said, you know what, it was a mistake. It was a bunch of kids. They kind of said, oh, it happens. It happens. They actually tweeted or said that it wasn't a failure of intelligence, and there will be no reprimanding, no punishment for anybody. You kill a family of 10, you kill 7 children, it's just like, whoops, it happens. And the family, though, I don't know, it's the father of some of the kids is demanding to be resettled in the U.S. And I'm just going to say it sounds fair to me, and to be compensated financially sounds fair to me.
Totally.
They didn't wipe him out, but he's demanding, justice. So he's still out there, and we have pictures of these children. We have photos of the children the Biden regime killed, and then lied about it, and then attempted to cover it up just to save face. Can you imagine for a moment, Carano, if that were Donald J. Trump, who was looking for a PR win and took out 10 civilians with a drone, and then said, good strike, good news. We took out a bunch of ISIS-K guys. They lied about it. And again, the media just cheerleaded it or ignored it for the most part. That is the most impeachable of all the impeachable offenses. Not just killing a bunch of kids, but then lying about it and pretending it's good news. And then, the New York Times and Washington Post said, boy, our intelligence community is just amazing, isn't it?
So August 29th is the date that you asked for when the strike happened, but how the media would have reacted to Trump is exactly how they should react. That's how they should be reacting now. They should be all up in arms about killing innocent people in a drone strike to try to save face. I mean, that's the way they should.
They used to. You're right. The media used to be. You pretty much guaranteed that they
would
condemn.
Them to speak power. Yeah, exactly. Condemn.
They would condemn, innocent civilians being killed by U.S. drones. But Obama was the king of the drones. Obama took out more than a couple of wedding parties because that's what he did. He was Mr. Drone, not Trump. Trump wasn't, Mr. Drone Strike. Obama was, and now Biden, who was there as a VP, is going back to their favorite weapon, the drone, and taking out innocent civilians and then lying about it and then, going on vacation. There's nothing he does where I don't think, imagine if Donald Trump, and I know Trump played a lot of golf, but the idea that Trump would, abandon a whole country, open the border, kill a bunch of kids, and then say, see you at the beach without taking questions. I mean, Biden still hasn't taken a question. It's Monday. They admitted to this war crime on Friday. And nothing, not only nothing from him, nothing from Jen Psaki, nothing. It's just, and there's no outrage from the media. They don't say a word about it at the Emmys. I don't think. If Trump did this, half the speeches at the Emmys would be about how ashamed they are for their country if Trump had done this. That is a fact.
Well, the Biden administration knows if all they have to do is just keep quiet, and it'll blow over in a couple of days. Any outrage that comes from the right will just blow over in a couple of days. It'll be onto something else, another outrage probably, and the mainstream media is not going to cover it. So it's an amazing strategy. But the problem is this is going to swing back hard. People are going to have enough, and it's going to swing back hard. You're gonna start seeing more derision. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it can't keep going on like this forever.
It's going to look like the Fox, a few voices on Fox News, talk radio, Glenn Greenwald against the entire media establishment, big tech. I'm convinced they're going to circle the wagons around this incompetent, sad, empty husk of a man in the White House, no matter what, because he's not Trump, and he's their guy.
Mainstream media is not representing the majority of Americans, though. So I don't know what it's gonna whether it won't happen on Twitter. It's gonna happen somewhere, but there's going to be outrage that it will explode somehow. I don't know what it's going to look like, though.
Not with his friends at the New York Times and Washington Post and everything. I'm giving up hope that they will. I mean, if you don't care about 7 kids, Carano, what do you care about? I mean, you see the disaster at the border. They're all for that. They're ignoring that. That's if you want to see what's happening in Del Rio, Texas, you have to go to Fox News. No one else. They don't even cover it. They literally ignore it. They had more media covering this pretend, January 6th rally in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It was a setup. Everyone on the right wing and the right knew it. Nobody showed up. There were more journalists and, cops, Capitol Hill police there than protesters. The protesters did not show up. There was no real protest. There's more media there for this non-event than there is in Del Rio, Texas, which is, by the way, I'm pretty sure part of this country. You don't have to go, you're not going to Myanmar, or whatever it's called. You're literally going down to your southern border and you're seeing what's happening. And it's a massive story, a massive scandal. But their answer often is just ignore it and hope it'll go away. That's what they do. Ignore it and hope it'll go away. And hope their guy, Joe Biden, survives. Hope he doesn't have to give a press conference and answer questions, which he won't. That's another thing. Wouldn't you at least expect a guy after he killed 10 kids to come out and say, we're sorry. We didn't mean it. Hey, not old Joe. He just goes to the beach and goes for a bike ride and takes a nap. And it's like, okie dokie, we're moving on here. It's incredible. But I already know. You already know how I feel about Mark Milley. He's the worst. He's despicable. He should have been fired 100 times over. Mark Milley literally went behind the president's back, talked to his counterpart in China. We know that. Mark Milley went behind the president's back, went to Nancy Pelosi. Mark Milley raved, talked about white rage, and he wants to purge the military of any Trump voters. He's a disgrace to this country. You tell me again how you do and say what he did. Essentially, he nuked those kids, right? He blew up 7 kids, killed 7 kids, and then he went before the cameras. And I am 100% convinced that he knew exactly what he did. He knew exactly who he killed in no time. He knew exactly what it was. It wasn't 2 ISIS-K fighters. They knew. You see the video of the guy putting the water in the trunk. You see the pictures of the kids. Mark Milley knew in short order they screwed up. What did he do? Went before the media because he can't help himself and said, yeah, it was good. It was a righteous strike. Just listen to this guy, the arrogance that just oozes from this dirtbag. And tell me you want him to be the highest ranking member of your military. Tell me what it takes for him to get knocked down a peg. Forget fired, forget suspended. Just take a stripe and demote him. What does it take? He oversaw the worst disaster in U.S. foreign policy ever. And then to make up for it, to take people off the scent, to try to get a win, he blew up 10 civilians and then lied about it. That's not fireable. That's not suspendable. What in the hell is? I mean, as I pointed out, the Navy Annapolis football team, fired their assistant coach because they lost 2 games. That's what happens at a military academy when you lose 2 games. When you lose a war, when you lose, 13 heroic war fighters, when you lose 10 civilians, including 7 kids, nothing happens. How is that possible? I'd love to know. But can we hear from this dirtbag, the pride of Belmont Hill, after he killed 10 civilians?
Here it is.
We had very good intelligence that ISIS-K was preparing a specific type vehicle at a specific type location. We monitored that through various means, and all of the engagement criteria were being met. We went through the same level of rigor that we've done for years, and we took a strike. So that we did. Secondly, is we know that there were secondary explosions. Because there were secondary explosions, there's a reasonable conclusion to be made that there was explosives in that vehicle. The third thing is we know from a variety of other means that at least one of those people that were killed was a ISIS facilitator. So were there others killed? Yes, there are others killed. Who they are, we don't know. We'll try to sort through all that. But we believe that the procedures at this point, I don't want to influence the outcome of an investigation. But at this point, we think that the procedures were correctly followed, and it was a righteous strike.
Okay, a righteous strike, not a good strike or an accurate strike, a righteous strike. So it was righteous. I don't know why that annoys me, but do you know how many lies that dirtbag just jammed into that? How long was that answer? 1 minute? 2 minutes?
Yeah, right under a minute. Yeah.
Minute. You know how many lies he jammed into that? That
I didn't count.
Get the little ding, ding, ding thing going
have,
because he knew at that point they were civilians. They weren't ISIS. There were no explosives. There was water. He knew they killed kids, and I guess he admitted it was. And were other people killed? Yeah, but it was a righteous strike. What?
Yeah, so even if he said, so if two of them, or if one of them was an ISIS-K facilitator and the rest kids, is that okay? I mean, to me, I thought American ideals were such that if you would rather trade, 10 guilty people alive than kill one innocent person. I thought that was an American ideal. But sounds like it's actually no. As long as we get one bad guy, we don't care if we kill 7 innocents. Sounds like he's cool with that. That's righteous.
And not only is he cool with it, he's cool with lying about it. I guess he's like, as I always point out, good old Democrats like Biden are so used to being protected that they lie so cavalierly. Like, sure, they look across the media, gather media, and they say they're on our side. And it's a remarkable thing in my lifetime and yours that the media has used to be, the watchdogs, the critics of the military industrial complex. Things like this would set them off and there'd be an investigation. Things like this now compel them to circle the wagons and say, how do we protect not just the president or vice president or leaders in Congress, but the intelligence community, the military. It is amazing how the powers, the powerful people, the levers of power have aligned. Now they have obviously the House, the Senate, the White House, academia, big tech, big media, and the military and the intelligence communities all on the same side. As Glenn Greenwald points out, he called this the most embarrassing thing a media person has ever tweeted. This is Charlie Savage. He's from the New York Times.
Yeah.
So they blow up the family on August 29th. They blow up 7 kids. And he tweets out, the U.S. clearly has a remarkable intelligence line of sight into ISIS-K right now. That was a reaction to this drone strike that U.S. officials said killed, quote,
these are like jock sniffer. These are like jock sniffing media folks. It's the same thing in sports where they lionize and heroize their sports figures. That's what this guy's doing with their politicians.
A remarkable line of intelligence.
An idiot.
Because they told them, yeah, it was a couple of ISIS guys, and they said, okay, we're with you. And then 2 weeks later, on a slow Friday, where not everyone's paying attention, they say, it wasn't actually ISIS fighters. It was a family, and we killed them all, a bunch of kids. And we actually get pictures of these kids. It's devastating. I'm now convinced that Milley can do anything he wants. He can come out, press conference naked. He could come out, with his, gun and start shooting people, and somehow they will rationalize it, they will justify it, and they will say, he might be a lying, corrupt general, but he's our lying, corrupt general. There's nothing Milley can do to lose his job.
It used to be that the American people thought politicians were like the lowest form of people ever. Right now, it's maybe it's lawyers now, but that's what we used to think, and rightfully so. We should view them that way because they're actors. They don't have any special skills except for oratory and acting. But the biggest con is that they've somehow convinced the American people that they can live by different rules than the rest of us can. So it's okay for them to not wear masks, as we saw, which it's a smaller thing, but still a thing. Or it's okay for them to kill a bunch of people, kill a bunch of innocent people, and like if I went and nuked 7 children right now, I would be put to death. But Milley and the president, that's okay as long because they act on TV and they got elected in some sort of popular vote. That's bullshit.
That's my reaction now too. As I see something like this, like on Friday, this news dump, and I say, what will the media do to protect the powerful? To protect the powerful. That's what Satan did in Angel Heart. That's what the media does now. They protect the powerful. Obviously, Milley is just corrupt. He's just sleazy, and he's the worst. If you could feel it. And they say, this is a general who just killed a bunch of kids. I'm a super woke reporter from the Washington Post, the New York Times, or NBC, ABC. My instinct, if I'm Charles Savage in the New York Times, is how do I protect my friend, the general who just killed 7 kids? Think about how backwards and upside down that is. That used to be, at least, even if they were liberal, reporters would at least have some sense of, good and bad, and good and evil. And in this case, it's like, he's our guy. He's not Trump, so we must protect him. It's just so bizarre and so wrong. But that's what they'll do. I thought there was no way initially that Milley could survive the revelations that he went behind Trump's back, committed treason, told the Chinese guy he would tip him off. And by the way, Milley admitted he did as much, denied nothing, just said it's part of the job to tip off your enemy and say, before we attack, I'll let you know. He said that's part of the job, to go behind Trump's back, go to Pelosi and say, we won't let him, shoot off the nukes or whatever. Said it's part of his job, which is so friggin' bizarre. But I don't know what he can do. I don't know if he'll ever do something so bad that he will lose his job. I want to get to this this announcement they made. Where's the announcement it was so weird that they made an announcement and said it wasn't an intelligence failure. It wasn't essentially it wasn't a problem. And I'm trying to get the official announcement on Friday, where they say it wasn't an intelligence failure. It wasn't a problem. There'll be no further. Here it is. The initial announcement is the drone strike that killed that the U.S. military said targeted terrorists in Kabul mistakenly killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. The Pentagon announced. Then you have. I want to get the actual announcement. Here it is. This is from General McKenzie. This is remarkable. September 17th, in the afternoon, news dump. General McKenzie, head of U.S. Central Command, announces that no ISIS-K fighters killed in the U.S. drone strike in Kabul on August 29th. 10 civilians killed, including 7 children, in a Toyota. No disciplinary action expected, officials say. U.S. military stands by intel leading to strike.
But
what?
But so then they killed the people they wanted to kill?
That is so bizarre. That's how arrogant these people are, that they say they make the announcement. And I assume the investigation's not entirely over, and they say no disciplinary action expected. And the U.S. military stands by intel leading to strike. Well, whoever gave you that intel, and the rumor is it's the Taliban setting you up, but whoever gave you that intel, I hate to break it to you, was wrong.
Well, clearly they're no longer a results-based organization, the U.S. military. I mean, they keep losing wars. So
it was wrong. Whoever gave it to you was wrong. I mean, you don't have to, execute them, but you have to reprimand. You have to say, you were wrong. You got kids killed. Somebody has to be responsible. It's so remarkable. It's so corrupt. Again, this would be the biggest story in the universe if it were Donald J. Trump. But Biden just goes off for a bike ride, and we move on. We move on to the Emmys, and that's what we're going to do here, Carano. Let me talk about Shea, and then we're going to get to a couple quickies. The Emmys and the mask madness reaches a new level, which is all connected. But first, Shea. I'm going to give you a quick factoid, and you'll like this. You'll like this as a
like a special kind of fact, or is that like a little fact? What's a fact?
It's just a fascinating fact.
Okay, all right.
I'm not sure how relevant it is, but as we tell you all the time, as we've gone over 1 million times, the people telling you to be frightened of COVID don't care about COVID. The people telling you to mask up, you must mask up, don't mask up. It's all theater. It's all control. I saw this morning. This is just a fun little factoid. You want to hear some of the employers who are not requiring their employees to get vaccinated?
Sure.
Just a few.
Okay.
We know that the president is demanding employers force their employees to get vaccinated or they'll be fired. By the way, this applies to the Border Patrol. The Border Patrolmen, the people trying to restore order at the border, which is chaos by design by Biden, they have to be vaccinated or they get fired. Once they're vaccinated, their job is to somehow control about 15,000 illegal immigrants invading the border, none of whom is vaccinated. The vaccine rate in Haiti is below 1%. Nobody's vaccinated.
Sure, that makes
There
sense.
are like 12 or 13,000 Haitians at the border. None of them are vaccinated. The Biden administration wants to let them all in, and the people trying to control them, stop them, have to be vaccinated or they'll be fired. Just more hypocrisy. But these are the following employers, Carano, who do not require their employees to be vaccinated. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The White House, Congress, CDC, FDA, World Health Organization, Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. None of those very large, powerful employers are mandating the vaccine for their employers. What does that tell you?
Do as I say.
That tells you they really don't mean it. They really don't think it's required. It's all about control. But here's what I admit every day that I could not handle. I would lose it. You'd be dealing with an insane person. I'd be, right there with my former partner and friend, Kirky. I'd be losing it completely, having a meltdown. There's a video, and I tweeted it out a couple times because it's so disturbing, of a kid in daycare. He's 3, I think, or 4, and the daycare worker just keeps putting the mask on, and he just keeps taking it off, and he's so uncomfortable. He's a little kid. He doesn't have COVID. Even if he did, it wouldn't matter. Send him home. Whatever. It's forcing children to wear masks because that somehow makes paranoid, selfish adults feel better. It's just the most immoral, unethical thing in the country right now. Insecure, paranoid adults, ill-informed adults, forcing children to wear masks. By the way, these same adults probably sat down, watched the Emmys last night, and had a grand old time as all these Hollywood pinheads partied and hugged and kissed and breathed all over each other. Not a mask in sight. And same thing at the Met Gala last week. But they forced this child, and they just keep like choking him, putting it on, takes it off, putting it on, takes it off. And the people supporting that are the people, who were at the Met Gala, AOC and her crowd, and the people at the Emmys last night, all those frauds. Support mask mandates, support children in school wearing masks, and they don't wear them. And they don't even care that the world could see them not wearing them. The hypocrisy is just so rich, and it doesn't seem to matter. They'll come up with another one today, another one today. They'll make whatever restaurants check your vaccine ID card. I went to a concert Saturday night.
Oh, right.
And the line was long because they had to check everyone's vaccine card. And it was funny. Here's how it worked. It was Jason Isbell at the Wang Theater.
Who is that? Is he a country star? What's he do?
You don't know anything, do you? You don't even know Jason.
No, I know good music. Is he a country star?
Well, no, he's not. But I'm really disappointed in your musical knowledge. Really disappointed.
Oh, right.
You'll hang out with me a little more and you'll learn. But he's great. You'd like him. He's a musician. He's a great guitar player. Anyway, he's won a bunch of Grammys. He's a big star. It was big. It was a big crowd, sold out crowd. You had to wear a mask to get in, right? And it's tight. The Wang Theater is tight. But you got selling beer and wine and everything. So everyone's got their mask on. They're looking around how it works and looking around. And then the concert starts and the couple songs in, and soon you look around and nobody's got their mask on.
Yeah.
Lights go down. Everyone just pulls them down or takes them off. And it's just like, how about yesterday? Did you see the people running in masks? There was a bunch.
Oh, this is crazy. People are dumb.
They're running 5K or walking. And they're out in this beautiful sunny day, and we're all socially distanced or whatever, and they're wearing a mask. It's amazing what people will do per order of the government, which has been proven time and time again to be wrong, to be corrupt even, and they'll do whatever they're told. That is always disappointing, and it's worse, obviously, where we live. But it was funny. Everyone, I don't know how many people it holds, 5,000, 8,000. Everyone masked up, looking around, just saying, what time can I take? At what point can I take the stupid thing off? The show, the theater part is over. And the band they don't have masks on. They're not.
No, of course not.
They don't, nobody actually believes it's just for show, just like last night. I didn't watch a minute of the Emmys, but I was following on Twitter. Here's how you know it's a joke. John Oliver who sucks, won for the 6th straight year, I heard, won whatever. But Saturday Night Live won for best whatever sketch comedy.
Sure.
How do you pick an Emmy? Who is there? Same like the Oscars? Is there like a group of people?
I don't know who votes on the Emmys. I can take a look, but I don't care. I mean, the Emmys to me are just they're just a worthless. All these award shows are worthless.
But I mean, you can't. And I assume I don't really watch Ted Lasso, but people tell me it's good and
No,
funny.
it's not good. No, it's.
I'll check it. I'll do a review one of these days.
Well, all right. The first few episodes are good, and that's what makes it so bad. Is because after you get 3 or 4 episodes in, that it just jumps right off a ledge. It's the worst. So,
people were surprised because I thought everyone would be woke. It'd either be a black, a woman, a gay guy, transgender. That's generally who wins the awards now. And Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis is none of those things, I don't think. Although he's pretty woke, he's a big pro-abortion guy. But that won a bunch of awards. But under what criteria could SNL ever win an award for anything? Everyone agrees it's just not funny right now.
Who else is doing sketch comedy though? I mean, it's not like,
that's right. Who's the competition? There's no more. There's no more living color or anything.
Ad TV. I mean, who's left?
That's a good question. Who are the other nominees? Do they list nominees like they do with the Oscars?
Oh, they might. I'd have to go look.
But I kind of missed it. But I'm glad I did. If SNL's winning awards, that they've missed the mark on the Emmys. And here's one thing you can be sure of, Carano. Today, at some point, one of those TV critic guys will tweet out the ratings, and they'll be all-time low. They'll be record low Emmys, and they'll compare them to 20 years ago when 40 million people watched. I'm going to guess last night the Emmys was watched by 7 million people. And
6 million. Oh, sorry. Wait. 2020 was 6 million. I don't know today's yet.
Guarantee it's a tiny fraction of what it used to be. That's the way it works now, and I think it's worse when people look at that. And again, I say this about Turtle Boy, Shattuck, and they have to get up extra early because they got to wrap their children in face masks to get on the bus. And they have to watch all these lying hypocrites, all these AOCs and all these actors and actresses just out and about, hugging and kissing, no mask, not even a thought to social distancing. It ain't about health. It's certainly the people making you do these things. They don't do them. They don't care about the virus. Just for you. The virus is just for working people. That's all.
Like us.
Yeah, just for hardworking people like us. But all right, let's wrap this up, Carano. Thank you to everyone for listening, for watching, for commenting. Thanks for showing up yesterday to the live show. We had some sound, but we never got to it. Correct?
We did not know.
That's your fault.
But it's not. I mean, it's the Gerry Callahan show. You're driving the ship.
Yeah, but you know what you got there.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm sure if you want to hear it all, you can check out Kirk's show.
Yeah, it's on the KMS.
Kirk, at this point, we left a few open-ended questions, and he said we're going to answer those when he comes on this show sometime soon. It was very personal stuff, but it's all out in the open there. That's the way we do it. So we'll get him on here, and we'll have a little AMA with Kirky. Ask me anything, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, AMA. There you go. There you
AMA,
go.
ask me or answer the question, jerk, which was what we used to do on the radio when we made fun of Mike Salk. But all right, Carano, anything else?
Nope, that'll do.
That'll do. Good job. And you ran. You didn't stop. You didn't walk. You didn't puke. You finished.
That's the last time. That is the last time you beat me in a race, Gerry Callahan.
That's quite an edge I had. It was 7 minutes. Wow, you should be embarrassed. You lost by
so bad. I am embarrassed.
7 minutes to an old man and his son who was
no ACL. Yeah,
no ACL. But
I got crushed.
I think there were a lot of, I think we had a good time. Everyone, when you're done, you just got all that adrenaline, all that energy.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so fun. You finish, you're not sure you're going to finish. You finish, you catch your breath, have a water, and everyone just kind of bonds. That's probably the problem with the show. The reason Kirk's disappointed. We didn't have any good fights. Everyone was getting along. That won't last. But anyway, we will leave it there for today. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show with Matt Carano, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.